should you be avoiding all sources of PUFAs? This stands for polyunsaturated fatty acids. This is something that a few people out there really are passionately promoting. And the fact is that there's enough research on things out there on the internet that no matter what your point of view or position is on just about any issue, you can at the very least, no matter how wrong you are, find some poorly done research that you can misrepresent and magnify the wrong aspects of to support your case. Now, I am personally trying to get better at disagreeing with people in a way that is still friendly and respectful. Like, these days people just love to yell at each other online. I am trying to, in myself, get back to like the old-fashioned ways. Like wise people in the old days would be able to have a passionate disagreement, but they would be friendly and respectful and still consider each other as good friends, and they would laugh and enjoy the debate, but not get aggressive or disrespectful or any kind of these things. And so I am trying within myself to cultivate more of that. So I will try to do my best at that here. If I stray from that path, please let me know. If you guys have any tips on doing this better, please let me know. Because I think it's, I don't know, it just seems like life would be more fun that way. Anyways, polyunsaturated fatty acids. This is a category of fats which you may know or may not know contains omega-3s and omega-6s. And certainly, there are some cases in which certain polyunsaturated fatty acids, which have been are coming from certain sources or have been treated in certain ways, that are not going to be beneficial for you. So there is some validity to certain elements of this claim. To say they're all bad, okay, well, I would just say that generally the broader a rule is, the more likely it is that there's going to be exceptions to it. The broader the rule, the more exceptions there's going to be. And in this case, I think there's quite a few. But if you have something like soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, a lot of these, the soybean oil and the corn oil, these are very commonly going to be coming from genetically modified sources. That's no good. Of course, these are going to be pro-inflammatory and just absolute rubbish. Then you also have things though like long-chain omega-3s, like you would find in like a fish, krill, or algae oil that you guys, if you watched a lot of our videos, have heard me talk about so much in terms of their benefits. Here you get the DHA and the EPA. You also look at things like omega-6s. Okay, these you don't want too much of, but they are called essential fatty acids for a reason, because you do need them. Now, what happens with a lot of people, and I bring this part up because you mentioned in your original question that you like nuts and seeds. In nuts and seeds, the ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 is not great, meaning there's a lot of omega-6 and very little omega-3s. And these omega-3s are not the long-chain, very beneficial omega-3s that you find in seafood sources or algae sources, but they are the medium chain, the ALA, as opposed to the EPA and DHA. You can convert a small amount of ALA to EPA and DHA, but it's minimal. It's something in the range of 5%. It varies from individual to individual based on a variety of factors, but you can't rely on that conversion entirely. Now, when we're over-consuming these nuts and seeds, etc., and getting too much omega-6, or this can also be said for having grain-fed meats, or if you're eating eggs, if you're eating eggs from vegetarian raised chicken, that generally means they're being fed lots of corn and soy, and now you've got an egg that is much higher in omega-6s than it really ought to be if you were having it from a pasture-raised chicken, for example. And so this excess of omega-6s is going to tend to be pro-inflammatory and problematic. So there is certainly an issue in that department. Now, to say all omega-6s are inflammatory, that would also be wrong. You've got to be careful with making too broad of statements here, because in the class of omega-6s, you have, for example, GLA, gamma-linolenic acid. You find this in spirulina, for example. You find it in hemp seeds. It's often concentrated out of, I believe, I was going to say rosemary. It's evening primrose. There's a rose in there somewhere, and taken as a supplement that is very, very helpful for skin health for a lot of people. So that actually, amongst the omega-6s, is an anti-inflammatory amongst a sea of inflammatory omega-6s. But ultimately, like the real destroyer of the argument that you should avoid all polyunsaturated fatty acids is going to be omega-3s, long chain, either fish oil, krill oil, or algae oil. It takes a lot of gall to claim that the extensive list of extremely well-studied benefits of long-chain omega-3s, having high blood levels of them and taking them supplementally, is all wrong. I mean, I wouldn't even think that somebody could validly make a statement that they were using a special, you're not going to say they were using like a special kind of a fish oil in the study that's better than what you're getting on the market. No, probably they were using worse than what you can get if you're really a good shopper and you're buying the highest quality stuff. I mean, when you look at fish oil, it's so well studied, it's incredible. So you see benefits for heart health in terms of raising good cholesterol levels. It doesn't necessarily lower bad cholesterol, but it is shown to raise good cholesterol levels. Lowering triglycerides, reducing elevated blood pressure, helping with arterial plaque. Then you also can look at it, the research on helping with mental disorders, reducing chances of psychotic disorders in people who are at very high risk of these things. And so high doses, they've shown, can actually be beneficial in reducing symptoms of schizophrenia and bipolar, and also helpful for symptoms of depression. Supports weight loss, reduces inflammation. It's helpful in the anti-inflammatory department for things like psoriasis and dermatitis that are inflammatory, somewhat of an autoimmune type skin conditions. It's helpful for having a healthy pregnancy, both for the health of the mother and the health of the infant. And this is not something where an infant, maybe like you have a baby and the baby's going to be taking fish oil themselves, but the mother would be taking it and it would be going through breast milk then to the baby. And so it's shown that in these situations where the mother has really good levels of omega-3s, generally due to consumption of high quality seafood or supplementation with fish oil, here you see better hand-eye coordination in infants and better visual development and decreased risk of allergies. It improves situations of hyperactivity in children as you get a little bit older. And then as we go to the other side of life, it can help prevent symptoms of mental decline in the elderly. Reduces asthma symptoms, improves bone density. So these are not just it's not like there's just one study that randomly claims each of these things. The support is so extensive. Now, you have to also consider that oils like these, polyunsaturated fatty acids, are delicate. So exposure to sunlight, if you are leaving them in an open container, so like exposure to air, or if you're heating them, this will cause formation of toxic compounds. So it is possible for good, healthy polyunsaturated fatty acids to become harmful if not stored and used properly. That's because polyunsaturated fatty acids, they are more vulnerable to oxidation than other fats because of their chemical structure, because of these multiple double bonds that they have. So it is certainly possible for excessive consumptions of certain kinds of polyunsaturated fatty acids to be problematic. It's certainly possible for good polyunsaturated fatty acids to turn bad because they're stored or used improperly. But overall, I would say it's not correct to make a claim that all polyunsaturated fatty acids should be avoided for optimal health. I think there's incredible strong support in terms of research for incorporating beneficial polyunsaturated fatty acids in one's diet.